What is up, guys? We're here with another video. So today we're gonna continue this build. Please like and subscribe and comment. Please judge on the build's looks, on the progress, and everything you can imagine, guys. So please like and subscribe again, and just watch this video. But I don't. Shut up, bro. My microphone. Oh my god, bro. My voice mod is so annoying. Hold up. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I'm being annoying. Ready. Liwaret. Kalau kedekas. Ayo pilih kata. Ikan mati pilih menduk. What? We need more parts in service room. By the way, we're gonna make the stages. First is fredbears stage. Then spring bunnies. Yeah, of course. You thought I was gonna forget spring bunny, the main character? Really, bro? I don't know if he's actually the main character. Bro, I'm gonna cry. Why, man? Why, bro? What? Bruh. Why, man? Bro, this does not look good. Here's arms then. Testing. Like this. I'm gonna bring a bit closer. Problem is you can't. We pretend this is a microphone. This is only for testing, so I haven't yet done. Yeah, never mind, never mind. Let's just make him hold the microphone. Too lazy. There's no bright green, really, bro? Oh, here we go, here we go, here we go. Shut, bro! I literally remember one of it, bro. I forgot the name, bro. I forgot the name. I'm so pissed. Oh my god. It's your guys' fault, bro. Nah, just kidding. Oh my god. What's the... Yo, there's a daycare? Yo, there's a daycare. There's a team to notebook. Really? Yeah, okay, let's just do this. That's all. Eat pizza. Oh, eat pizza on the job. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, ready? Where's the daycare? There's not even daycare, bro. Where's the daycare? Please have a daycare, bro. Y'all literally said, oh wait, we got a daycare. Literally, bro. Where's the daycare, bro? Y'all be lying. Hey, la, la. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Ready, ready, ready. Ah! Oh! La la. Here we go. Ready, 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 ready. I am a girl. I forgot the office. Oh my god. Oh no. I don't know where to place them. Should place a bathroom in another one. You should delete the bathroom and just place it in another way. But we're gonna do the stage first. There's a purpose for the video.
How to get invisible item frames in Minecraft. To do this, you need to type this command. Here are some ways you can use.
Bro, just give it. Just.
Talking Show My Chow Fan. Sarap magchow.
Oops, oh my god. Bro. just watch some FNAF builds. FNAF builds, FNAF builds, FNAF builds, FNAF builds. Ready, 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 ready.
But pretty much everything is here. A few weeks ago, I built a custom Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria in Minecraft with the use of the Management Wanted mod. Now, while I never use mods like these in my videos, I had a lot of fun messing around with custom blocks and models to do something that I wouldn't be able to in normal Minecraft. However, I was still curious if I could do this without the mod and wanted to see how it would turn out if I added my own custom gameplay alongside it. And today, I'm going to be doing just that, where I'm going to rebuild my custom FNAF location and then add working gameplay to it, all in vanilla Minecraft. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Before we do though, I want to say that if custom builds like these are something that you're interested in, be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on, so that way you're notified the next time I make one. It's completely free and it helps out a whole lot more than you know. Now, even though I've technically already built this exact same build before, I've still gone ahead and outlined everything so that way I can recreate it as closely as possible. The mod puts lots of details inside just a single block, so I'll have to come up with creative ways to make this work without it. And while I'm not using mods to make this, I am still going to be using custom map art again for the checkered patterns on the walls. Now, these designs are a little bit different than normal, as you can see that they didn't take up the whole map, meaning when I put them onto an item frame, it's not going to take up the full frame and still shows off parts of the build. And if you're curious as to how to make transparent backgrounds, it's as simple as putting a layer of glass over the void, which is then only going to make the pattern itself part of the map. I have to be honest though, this is the most excited I've been to start on a build like this, as this time it's going to be something I've made myself that's not from an already existing game. And now without the use of mods, I'm really excited to see how this is going to turn out. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started working on the build. And that is now the build completely done, and honestly I think this turned out really well and a lot better than I thought it was going to. I built the original pizzeria with lots of different colors, and this one looks even more colorful since all of the decorations are now 1 block wide. Now there are a few differences between the original decorations and these new ones, but pretty much everything is here and in the exact same place as before. Of course there's all the map art on the walls like how I went over earlier, but there's also some custom decorations around the build like these custom player heads for gumball machines, presents, party hats, and a few other things. However, the one that definitely stands out the most are the plushies of the Core 4 animatronics, as just because the modded build had custom models for them, it doesn't mean that I wasn't going to add them for this world as well. Now each one is a shrunken down armor stand model with different armor and player heads, and these are made in the exact same way that I make my actual animatronics themselves. With that being said, I did limit the entities to just being item frames and the plushie models, as if I really wanted to, I could have made this build just as detailed as the modded one by making every single prop out of armor stands. I brought up this exact topic in that original video, but I also need to consider how well the game itself is going to run, especially since I still have to add the gameplay as well. Speaking of which, we might as well get started with the gameplay, as I already have a lot of ideas in mind on how I want this game to work. Obviously, I'm going to be sitting right here inside the office, so let's go ahead and start by making some office mechanics. Now the office is fairly simple with its layout, as it's just a small rectangle in the corner of the circle, I guess you could say. Because of that, there's only one way to get through this doorway here, which I'm going to be adding a sliding door to. Instead of sliding up and down though, the frames of this door are going to be moving from left to right. So there's a frame of the door fully closed, then one when it's half opened or closed, and then one when the door is fully opened. Now these frames are then going to be copied up into the build with a clone command after I flick the lever that's next to the desk. That's right, I'm using a lever instead of a button, as not only is it a bit more realistic, but this is also my game and I can do whatever I want. However, the door isn't going to immediately close the moment the lever powers, as I thought it would be fun to have a small delay that powers the door mechanic up first before the clone commands are then going to power. Now this is really just a cosmetic change, but it might also have a purpose when adding in the animatronics later. So with a few added sound effects to go along with it all, the full sequence is going to look like this, where I flick the lever and the door is going to close about a second later. Then to open it back up again, I just simply flick the lever again, and the same sequence is going to play in reverse. Now to make sure that I can't just spam the lever, I've set up an interaction entity to teleport over the lever while the commands are powered, which is going to stop me from turning off the lever while the door is trying to close. Then when the animation ends, it teleports back under the block again, and I'm able to flick the lever again. As with all FNAF doors though, there needs to be some kind of punishment for leaving it closed for too long, as then I could just keep it closed for the entire night, which I obviously don't want. But instead of running on a global power system like with FNAF 1, the door is only going to temporarily break after a set amount of time passes. Now before I look inside of this command block, I feel that I should warn you that I do have a mod installed that doesn't add anything, but will make reading the commands much easier. Normally I would only be able to see one command at a time, but this mod lets me look at an entire chain of commands at once, while also spacing out the commands themselves. This has been extremely helpful for me, and hopefully it means that I'll make more sense as I'm explaining things. The link for this mod will be in the description down below. But to get the timer to work, I have a scoreboard that's going to start increasing the moment the door closes once the door timer has been set to 1, and is going to keep on counting up until it matches 200 ticks or 30 real life seconds. That's where the second command block is then going to stop the timer by keeping it at 200 ticks, as the door is then going to break by putting the lever back to normal and stops me from being able to power the door. However, if I open the door back up before the score matches 200, the second command here is then going to start removing 1 from the scoreboard, which is then going to bring it back down to 0, where it's then going to stay until I close the door again. So the door does still technically run on a power system, but the power will start filling up again when the door is no longer being used. Now what happens if the door power does get set to 200? Well, another score called door cooldown is then going to get set to 1, which is then going to block the lever in the office by teleporting the interaction on top of it when the score is between 1 and 900, or about 45 real life seconds. So the cooldown does mean that I will be able to use the door again later, but only after the cooldown timer ends and the interaction gets removed from the lever. So during this time, any animatronic will be able to get inside the office, which is why I want to make sure that I don't have the door closed for too long. With the door currently closed, you can see how the scoreboard is going up, and eventually the door breaks and opens back up as the cooldown itself is going to start. Now eventually it is going to fix itself, however this is only going to happen after a total of 900 ticks have passed. When that happens, a sound cue is then going to play, indicating I can now close the door again. It's a neat mechanic that only needs a simple system to work. The next feature to add is once again another classic FNAF mechanic, which is a flashlight to see through the doorway itself. Normally I would have an item to throw or a button to press to do this, but this time I've done things a little bit differently. Different doesn't mean complicated though, as directly next to me in the office is another interaction entity on the side of the doorway, and right clicking on it will cause this command block here to activate. This is then going to remove all of the black concrete from in front of the doorway, and then adds extra light blocks to the hallway to actually brighten up the area itself. Then when I right click on the interaction a second time, it's then going to turn the flashlight off by removing all of those light blocks and placing the concrete back in place. Now the reason why there's more commands on the other side and even a scoreboard set up is so that way the flashlight is only going to stay on when I'm looking towards the doorway and then turns off when I look away from it. This lengthy command here is what does that, which detects when I'm not looking at the interaction entity, which is then going to set the score back to 0 and is going to put all of the black concrete back in place. Other than that, there aren't any additional mechanics to the flashlight like a battery, as I wanted to keep using it for something that I think will be pretty cool later on. Before we get there though, the last office mechanic is of course the camera system, as a classic pizzeria sit and survive can't work without them. And I decided to get a bit creative with this one and do something that I've never done before, which is to have each camera work on its own individual monitor. I've also probably overdone the decorations on the desk itself to make it look more polished, and added a spinning desk fan with a phone right next to it, a mouse for the monitors, and most importantly, a cup of tea to have throughout the night. I also thought it would be fun to personalize things even further by adding small figures of my favorite games outside of Minecraft and FNAF, with those being a Helldiver from Helldivers 2, the Doom Slayer from Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, and a Reaper Leviathan from Subnautica. I meant what I said when I told you that I was going to go all out with this build. This is my game and I can do whatever I want with it. But it also just adds more character to the office, as if the Night Guard is bringing a small part of their collection with them, with that of course being me. And this is easily my favorite office setup that I've ever made. Aside from all of that, having the desk fan actually move from side to side and having the camera monitors cycle between a static screen, it's such a small detail that still adds so much more to the build. But as for the cameras themselves though, I've done the exact same thing as the flashlight, where there's an interaction in front of each camera monitor, and right clicking on them is then going to teleport me to that set camera position. Then to return back to the office, there's another interaction that I can click on, which is then going to teleport me right back to where I was standing. The same thing goes for every other camera, however there's still a few more things that need to be added before this camera system becomes fully functional. First off, I've set up a teleport command that not only stops me from moving around, but also locks my view to a certain Y level. This might sound weird at first, but what it does is stops me from being able to look wherever on the camera, and now I can only look straight from left to right. Now this would also work if I had a system that forced me to rotate in a set direction, but I still want to be able to control the camera and look around freely. The only difference with this is for the parts and service camera, which I thought would be fun to mix up by having it be an audio only camera just like the kitchen in FNAF 1. To stop it from just being a black screen though, I've put some fun text on screen to show off that the camera isn't working. Now keep this in mind, as I'm going to be used this exact same concept again later on. Now it's easy for me to know which camera is where since I built the place, but what about everyone else? Especially with this being a circular building, it can be easy to get lost and confused when looking through each of the cameras. So how about I add a camera map layout to show off which camera is looking where? And by camera map, I mean that literally, as what I'm doing here is drawing the exact same layout of the pizzeria inside of paint.net, which I'm then going to upscale and recreate onto a Minecraft map. I would show off the replay of the build, but I accidentally deleted the recording, so I'll just stick with the original drawing that I made. The canvas size starts as the exact same size as the Minecraft build, where 1 pixel is 1 block, but then I need to upscale it to be 128 by 128, so that way it fills up the map from border to border. On top of that, I also threw in a few extra details, but the main feature also locks my view to a certain Y level. This may be until I close. I wanted to keep it there's still a few meter away from it. This lengthy command here is what does that, which detects when I'm not looking at the interaction entity, which is then going to set other than for something that I camera to get camera work with. Also for outside layer from what I want to update as clicking on them as the flashlight, where there's but as for the cameras themselves though, I've done the exact same thing as the flashlight, where there's an interaction in front of position. Then to return back to the office,
I got bored. I'm just SOP. Scooty! Shippy! Where did I grab another wet room? My god, bro. I'm gonna take a little break. So I'm gonna cover my screen and mute myself. If it's okay with you! By the way, y'all can skip this part, but please give me 5 minutes more because my hands hurt. So I'm sorry, guys. Okay, there we go. No, bro. Okay. Okay. What? Okay. Another dish now. Okay, it actually is good. Yeah.
At the end of 2023, I started a series where I took my old FNAF maps and gave them a complete makeover.
Nice.
I've already done this for Sister Location and FNAF 4, but scrolling through my videos, I saw a map I really wanted to remake. FNAF 1.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Why don't I like my old FNAF 1 map? Well, if you actually take a look at it, it's not really just the inside, it's the outside too. It's really rushed and not planned out very well. Not even the models look that good. They were really mixed matched and not even looking right. Wait. What the f happened to Foxy? I should probably make this map a lot better, but I needed inspiration for all this, so I took to the world's most popular internet search, Google. Damn it. For this map, I was looking towards a mix of FNAF Plus with some of the decorations, the FNAF movie with some of the room layouts, and Chuck E. Cheese for the vintage and realistic look of everything. Once I had my inspiration, I opened a block bench and started modeling.
By the look on your face, you really were surprised.
The animatronics were most
Wait, FNAF 4 briefing reenacted.
inspired by FNAF Plus with that in Club.
That was not me, that was definitely a thunderstorm.
I gave Freddy a black vest with a white undershirt and some black pants.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Bonnie was the same as FNAF 1 Bonnie, but just with some red overalls and a brand new guitar.
So my little brother's crusty dusty rat hair makes him look like a girl, so as his amazing older sister Tech Joyce, I made an automatic hair cutter so I can give him the best haircut ever. Joyce, thank you, so all I did was get a servo motor and power it with a power supply. Then I got an Arduino Nano to make it spin continuously, and bam, an automatic scissor. Then it was time to show my brother. Okay, I'm gonna be using this on you, okay?
What is that? Bro! No, you're not using that one.
Come on, can I cut one piece?
Sure. Is that actually cut? Oh, what the? Bro, literally the most gut-wrenching farts ever. Wall clenching, air-staining farts.
Stop!
Hey, fuck. My dream.
1 hour later.
No.
Show the camera!
Nah. Dude, you have to look at your hair.
So my little brother's crusty dusty.
It's just a glass mouse pad. It's about $120, I think. Don't judge me, I was curious. One of the first signs of a good mouse pad is that it's shipped in a flat box. When they're shipped in those rolls, you'll have the edges curling up and stuff, and that's super annoying. Alright, let's see it. Okay. Does a mouse pad really need, like, all of this? Wait, correction, it absolutely does need all of that, because I thought it was just a cloth mouse pad with, like, glass particles infused, kind of. No. That's straight glass. It's got these feet on the bottom that prevent it from sliding whatsoever, which is super nice. The logo isn't super sharp, which is kind of annoying, but let's see how it glides. That's pretty good. Now this is good because it's not a woven fabric. The glide on the y-axis and the x-axis are going to be virtually the same, in theory. I feel like this noise is going to get a little bit annoying though. It's just a glass mouse pad. It's about $120, I think.
Look, there's...
What would happen if David Baszucki left Roblox? Once David is out, a new CEO would take over. The new CEO would bring their own vision into Roblox and make changes. This could include making off-sale items available and moderating UGC items more. Updates that were not necessary, like changing friends to connections, would most likely be changed back to friends. If the CEO does not pick money over safety, then YouTubers such as Schlepp would even be unbanned and asked to work with Roblox. What are your thoughts on this? What would happen?
What hot dog should I get today? Oh yeah, this looks good. Whopper? Let's build the hot dog. Pickles, relish, mild salsa, onion. I don't know what this is, but it's really good. Maybe I should get a little bit more salt because it like it. So this sauce. Oh yeah, that was delightful. Just be stupid, eh? Thank you. Oh yeah. I'm gonna let you guys know a little secret. Once they're all crushed up, sprinkle it over the top. Now that right there is a good looking hot dog. I'm the first bite. Man, this thing is heavy.
Ready, get ready. Ah! Ready. Oh guys, I gotta go poop. That's it for today's video. Part 2 will be posted later with the Grow Garden event involved. So please stay tuned. Bye.